Season 2, episode 3.
Yeah, cool. And what are we at? Like 30 something now?
36,
Crushing it.
37 episodes.
Jeez. Cool. All right.
Action.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Finance Things in Life. I'm Matt, along with my brother Anthony. And today we have a special guest, Jesse Toth, president of Leaders Inspire. And, today we're going to be talking about leadership and how you can kind of fulfill yourself to make sure that you're running your business efficiently. And you could probably go in way more depth than that. And
Can't wait.
Summed it up right there.
Yeah. I'm not doing it any justice right now. But, well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to kind of diving into this and kind of learning a little bit more about what you do and how you can help not only us as business leaders, but others out there.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. We kicked off this with saying that this may be more philosophical as well as practical. I gravitate towards that. So I want to start off with the definition of what a dialogue is. Obviously, there's three of us, so it's trialogue. But in the Greek, dialogue is two people in search of meaning. And honestly, I'm grateful that we get to do this, that we get to take time to go deep into a topic, because I don't think enough people actually take this time. Obviously, it's a podcast, but I think as a whole, our society could benefit from just going deeper into more things rather than skating along the surface. So I'm grateful to be here, and I think it's just be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looking
forward to it. So I know your background,
Mm-hmm.
but others may not, and it's an interesting journey along the way of how you've gotten here. But why don't you just kind of give everyone a background of where you started and how you ended up where you are today?
Sure. Excuse me. Yeah. So let's go back to the college days. So I was a soccer player. This is how you and I crossed paths with Pittsburgh United. Little shout out there. When I was
current champs, also
current champs, 2025.
Oh my goodness.
When I was deciding where to go to college, my only criteria was I wanted to play soccer with my older brother. He went to Houghton College at the time, and we got 1 year of playing soccer together. I was a freshman in high school, and he was a senior. That was our age gap. And we got to play varsity together. It was awesome. And his sophomore year at Houghton, he tore his ACL. And that was honestly a blessing in disguise, because he redshirted that year. And I was like, if I go to Houghton, I get 2 years of playing soccer with my best friend, my older brother. And I didn't look at any other colleges. And I said, I'm not passing that up. So ended up going to Houghton and studying business, because that's what he was studying at the time. I didn't have any set passions. Like, does anybody, maybe 2%
right.
enter college with a clear strategy?
It always changes after that, too. You
Always.
go in and then just diverts from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, for my kids, if they don't know, I'm going to recommend a community college. Just get those credits out of the way.
For sure.
Right.
And then figure out what you want to do. But yeah, so I ended up studying business and gravitated towards a lot of the finance classes. I just found interest in numbers and the calculations and all those different frameworks and retirement. I think my favorite class was corporate finance, and just getting to play with the numbers, Excel. I got a lot of energy from doing that stuff, and so the summer before my senior year at Houghton, I got an internship with Northwestern Mutual, which is where you and I really connected for the first time talking about this. And Northwestern Mutual Insurance. Did some advisory work, took all the Series 6, 63, and was on track to do the CFP world, but that was ended before I could finish that. So I was 2 years at Northwestern coming out of college, and got to the point where, nothing against Northwestern, but their model is a little interesting. They make you start out with your natural market, so calling on friends and family and your buddies from college who don't have families, trying to sell them life insurance. And it was pretty difficult. And honestly, I'm such a relationship driven person. I just love meeting people and hearing their stories, which is why you're liked.
Right.
That world, you got to meet with so many different people, but over time it became, people would have this mindset towards me. It's like, hey, you're just trying to sell me something.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I just like talking about this stuff.
Right.
I literally get joy from educating, even if it's in finance.
Yeah.
And they took that as like, I'm 22 years old coming out of college. I don't need life insurance. You don't need to talk to me about it. And so
Right.
it just muddied the waters with some relationships to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, it feels
anymore.
gross.
Yeah.
They're waiting for like the shoe to drop, and
Yes.
it's not going to drop. I just want to talk.
Yeah. And it was trying to make them fit into what I thought they could need,
Mhm.
even though it maybe didn't fit their situation.
Right.
Right. And so from there, I got out of there, and for the first time in my life, I had no path. Like, I have been a very joyful, honestly, like a very grateful person in my life. I haven't had a ton of struggles. Right? I had all 4 of my grandparents pass away. That was the hardest thing in my life, but they all died at an older age. Other than that, I just felt very just grateful to be alive. Like every single day I would wake up with just a really positive attitude. And for the first time in life, I did not have clarity on my path. And for 3 months straight, I struggled to get out of bed. Like this feeling was so foreign to me, but this like mental health of mine for 3 months was shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the worst feeling in the world. And I had good conversations with friends, with family members. And, up until that point, I had torn my ACL twice, once in high school and once in college. And I had a friend recommend, he's like, have you ever considered athletic training or like physical therapy? And I was like, no, but something just clicked. And I was like, I want to be an athletic trainer. I thought back to all the ATs that I've had in my path. In my past that helped me recover. And I'm like, they weren't just people who helped me with injuries. They were people I wanted to hang out with and someone I saw as mentors in my life. And so I wanted to do that for high school kids. And I went back and got my master's degree from Damon 2019 to 2021 and came back and worked for Rochester Regional for 3.5 years. I'm still per diem with them now. But yeah, I loved getting to sit with these kids and talk to them about more than just their injury, right? And I worked at Greece Arcadia. The homes, like the home life for all of these kids, or maybe half of them, they're living with their grandparents. They're living in single-parent homes, and they had a lot of struggles that were beyond their physical ailment. And I love just getting to spend time with them and ask those harder questions, right? Those more philosophical, like, hey, how are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Because I hear what you're telling me. And I felt for these kids too, because I made it a habit of checking their screen time. I was just like, hey, what's your screen time today?
Right. Yeah.
I kid you not, the average was 13 hours a day.
Wow.
I probably checked 10 to 15 kids within a span of a week.
Wow.
I heard that's the stat. I mean, it's
13 hours a day.
The kids are on their screen time.
Which they're in school.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's possible,
Right.
but that's what it was. And I'm like, these kids are growing up in a world where they don't really have mentors. Their mentors are TikTok and the people who are feeding them, honestly, probably a bunch of crap. And I know there's some good stuff to come from social media, but my mindset as a whole is that it's not good for this generation. And they're getting the surface of things. But this is why I love these conversations, because we get to go into the wisdom of things, not just the surface line knowledge. So, yeah, I just had a heart for them. And I was a year into athletic training. Right? I just, incurred a bunch of money in debt from getting a master's degree. And I get a call from my uncle, who is the founder of Leaders Inspire, our company. He's like, hey, I know this is left field. It was only 9:30 at night. I was about to go to bed.
Oh, wow.
I get a call from him, like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, I know this is left field, but I want you to consider joining me and potentially taking over this company someday. I was like, what? I was like, I just graduated. I thought I was going to be doing this for at least 10 years.
You never had a conversation with him about this?
No.
Oh, wow.
Not once. I had always been fascinated by his work.
Yeah.
He had so many cool testimonials and just stories of the impact that he's having in organizations. And as a coach, right, a leadership coach, and yeah, the fascination was there, but there was never the inquiry for me to say, hey, can you teach me to do
Right,
what you do?
yeah.
And so I had a conversation with my wife that night, probably for 30 minutes, and same thing. I was like, just clicked. It's like, I need to do this. But, he told me, he's like, I see giftings in you, strengths in you that I think you would excel in this field. I was like, that's cool. That's encouraging. And again, about 30 minutes of conversation with Allie, my wife, and it's like, I'm going to do this. I have nothing to lose. To learn to be an apprentice to a leadership coach. And, we often say, this is a Tim Spiker quote, who's the author or the chief architect of the model that we use. He says that leadership is not just a better way to lead your organizations, but it's a better way to live. And so I'm like, if I'm learning about leadership over the next year and I'm going deep with you, I have nothing to lose. I have everything to gain by just learning from you. And so, he threw me into the fire. He put me on my feet with client engagements, teaching leadership in the room to these organizations. And I know I'm rambling here, but the story is long. And I'm just really grateful for this work. Every day, honestly, I get to have these types of conversations where we talk about meaning, dialogue, 3 people, 2 people in search of meaning. We need to take it to that level. And I'm just grateful that I get to be a coach, to be a teacher for these organizations, taking them back. Really, we get to pull them out of the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing, right? You hear it all the time. We got to work more on the business and less in the business. That's what we get to do. We get to help them build perspective and what's the full picture here?
Right.
Yeah.
You're getting caught in the day-to-day grind, but let's build perspective.
So is it one-on-one? Is it a group setting? How is that done? Like a large organization, are you talking to 15, 20, hundreds of people? How does that go about?
Yeah, great question. So there's really 3 main areas that we offer. One is peer group facilitation. So last week we were in Chicago, and there were 8 business owners who got together in a room. They share their financials. Have you guys been a part of a peer group or know what a peer group is?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so different parts of the country, these leaders, they're not in competition, but the same industry together. Yep. They get to just share ideas and strategies without fear of they're going to take my idea. Right? So it's a really cool structure that these peer groups get to be a part of. And they wanted someone to come in and teach on succession planning. Right? How do we identify and develop a leader for our future? Right? If I were to drop dead tomorrow, get hit by a bus, who's stepping up?
Right.
And so giving them different tools and frameworks for that. So peer group facilitation is one aspect. So that'd be more of a small group. Executive coaching, that would be for emerging leaders as well as those in the C-suite level. It's kind of like a peer group, right? We're just taking them out. We're bringing them up to 10,000 feet and saying, hey, what's really going on here? What strategies, what tools do you need? Working on specific development targets. So for a lot of people, could be communication. It's like, I'm really good at my job. I'm really good at what I do. But cultivating talent in the next generation, how to clearly articulate what I do so well to the next generation to teach them. That's often where people want coaching in, different areas as well. But so executive coaching, that's more one-on-one. And then the leadership journey, that's where we take a group through our model for 15 months. So that would be a group of 12 to 16 emerging leaders who senior leaders look at them and say, hey, you have great potential, but we want to make you even more effective. We want to develop you into a leader. And we'll be honest, it's not just for those who are aspiring to be leaders. But what I said before, it's not just a better way to lead, but a better way to live. Even someone who's a fantastic individual contributor, they have no aspiration to be a leader someday, but investing into them and teaching them healthy practices of leadership and communication and building trust.
Right.
They look at their leaders and say, wow, you made that investment in me. This is a great company.
Yeah.
All right. So we always say that succession begets or leads to retention. When you invest in people in that way, in a deeper way, not just for what they can give you, their work output.
Right. Not the ROI on it as much.
Yeah. But their human development as a whole, they love that and they want to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when these people, as they're going through this process, are they then taking that and sharing it with the team? Or are they using it internally just to grow? I'm sure it's maybe a combination, but
Yeah. Our whole journey, honestly, is self-focused, meaning it's an internal work. We say that we are trying to help you become a leader who is worth following, right? That becoming process, it's not just learning a few new skills and tools. And let me just share our model quick, because I think it segues into this. But we believe that the most effective leaders, it's not what they do, but who they are. And let me just ask both of you this question, just food for thought. Who is the best leader that you guys have ever known? And specifically, what were those traits that made them worth following, right? One word traits. You're like, hey, they had this, and this is why they were a great leader. What would you say?
That's a good question.
Right.
So I would say, I don't know if accountability is the word, but I knew from a previous job, my manager, he always wanted people to be accountable or to fulfill kind of what their role was, but he also did it on his end. So it was more of like you could see him putting in the work.
Mm-hmm.
So when he asked it of you, you didn't feel like he was just kind of pointing, saying, go do that.
Sure.
You knew he was also putting in the work.
Yeah.
So I'd say that accountability side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leading by example would be part of that. Maybe.
But I think that's a huge part is, what I view a strong leader as is that someone that's actually putting in the work as well. They're not just dictating, do as I say. They're actually putting in the work as well and leading by example. I don't think that's everything in what a good leader is, but I think that's a big part of it, because how can you have someone believe in you or want to follow you if you're not doing those same things that you're preaching? So
Right. You're less likely to fight back or disagree or have some kind of like combative thought towards being asked to do something if you feel like that person is also putting in that work.
Yeah. Yep. Let me ask it in a different way. Let's see if we can dig deeper on this. Think of the worst leader you've ever known. What did they not have that made you really gravitate away from them?
Oh, man. It's really, so I've been working with my dad for 20 years now. So it's like, I don't really have a lot of, prior like leaders or like people that, I've worked under.
It doesn't really have to be in the workplace.
But
it could be through sports or
parent, boss, coach, teacher, pastor, anybody that you kind of looked up to.
Yeah, I would say not getting respect from someone would make me feel like that wasn't a good leader. Like that would be kind of, if I'm looking at the opposite of what I feel a good leader is, and I feel like someone doesn't respect me as far as, a person or, a worker or whatever I'm doing in whatever activity, that would be the one thing that would kind of deter me, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think the ethical side of things as well, being an ethical person, someone that, isn't cheating to get ahead, isn't, doing or saying one thing, doing another, because you have to, if they're doing that, then how can you trust them or believe in them and
sure
and want to lead, follow them and by their example. So
love it. Yeah, if you kind of boil down what you guys said, what you didn't say is that you didn't follow someone because they had great skills being a salesman or saleswoman, right? You didn't follow them because they were the best retirement planner in this world. You don't follow them because they can navigate an Excel spreadsheet like nobody's business.
Right.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the skills that they possess,
Mm-hmm.
but everything to do with who they are. And so that's the research. Tim Spiker, founder of the Aperio, he's a good friend of ours at Leaders Inspire, and he wanted to figure out what is it truly that makes a leader effective. Right? There's so many different frameworks out there, so many different things that you can do to work on your leadership, but he wanted to figure out what are the nuts and bolts. Like if someone would just focus on an area, what would it be? And so the series of research that they did, they found out that 77% of your effectiveness as a leader just comes from who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And intuitively, we know that to be true. If I ask that same question, what are those traits that define a great leader? I can almost guarantee that if we ask that to a room of 100 people, that at least 77% would say that it's who they are. Humility, right? They're others focused. They care about us, like this team, this mission, more than themselves. Like we can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And so who really means is inwardly sound and others focused. We want to follow a leader who is inwardly sound, meaning that they're taking care of themselves, right? And a leader who cares literally more about us than their own status and ego, their own success.
Right.
And we can see that in people.
Right.
You know, and we get asked the question all the time, where do you start? Like, should I start with being inwardly sound? Should I start with focusing on being others focused? And we subscribe to the belief that like you have to put on your own oxygen mask on first. You can't pour from an empty cup. And a simple example is, you know, picture your leadership. Let's say you're leading this company and you're a ship, right? You're trying to get your people to safety. You're trying to get them to shore. You're guiding them. You're directing them. You're casting vision. And you have holes in your boat. You're not inwardly sound. You're not taking care of yourself. You can be so others focused. You can be so on fire for your team and even love your team as a family. But if you do not take care of yourself and holistically healthy, being financially healthy, that plays into this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing those disciplines to make sure that you can even show up for your team, good luck trying to be others focused. So you can do both at the same time, right? We know that. It's not like you have to take 10 years to figure out if you're
Right.
inwardly sound and then you can be others focused. No. But I think that is where people neglect the most. You know, as leaders, it's like, oh, it's a sacrifice. I need to be others focused. Yes, you do. That's the epitome of leadership. But until we have the disciplines to take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how long before you break and you
Right,
can't be
right.
there for your team to be
Yeah.
others focused. So
That's a good point.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. And I think it's a delicate balance, you know. It's because especially people that are probably devoted to their team, their employees, you know, can sometimes sacrifice too much. I could easily see that. And then, you know, the complete opposite, someone that's not as devoted to their team, that's more, you know, looking at themselves on an individual basis, you know, the team just out there kind of floating there.
yeah.
You know, so how would you, I mean, what do you do in order to help someone realize that or get to that point where they're fulfilled and realizing their potential, or, you know, learning about themselves, you know, what they need to do?
Yeah, that was a great question. So last week in Chicago, speaking to this peer group, we were doing succession planning, and we gave them 8 tips or keys to success in terms of how to identify and then develop this type of leader in your organization. And one of those keys to success was unleash, don't clone. It's so easy for us as leaders to find someone, to train someone to be exactly who we are, right? Even personality. It's like, I need you to have the same mannerisms as I do, or else this isn't going to work out. And so what we do, our mission at Leaders Inspire, is to equip leaders to discover, develop, and deploy the greatness within people in their organization, right? Emphasis on within. We believe that everyone possesses gifts and strengths that are unique to them. If we don't believe that as leaders, we'll just try to clone people all day long, even if it's not in the best interest of the company. But it pads our stats, right?
Right.
It boosts our ego to say, like, I need you to be me because look at all the success that I've had.
Exactly.
Right.
But if we see people for who they are, for who they were created to be, we may uncover strengths that, if they were in our shoes, would surpass that of what we can even do for the company. You know, but we have to be really curious. We have to be really humble to get to that point. C.S. Lewis, his definition of humility is, it's not thinking less of myself, but just thinking of myself less. And we need to get out of the way, you know, as leaders. And that's probably the hardest part, is to say, I prefer you over me.
Right.
You know, even though we've had all this experience and industry knowledge. Like,
Right.
Success. I mean,
Right. You've gotten to like the mecca of your
yeah.
position or job or industry, and to say, you know, I'm not the key, I'm not the answer, I'm not the, you know, the all know.
Yeah.
That's difficult to do.
or to hand that off. I mean,
Right.
in some cases, you know, the business or the company, it's their baby. I mean, they've been nurturing that for 20, 30, 40, however many years. And to be, you know, confident enough or have that humility to realize they're at the point where they need to hand it off to someone that could take it even further. I mean, that's not an easy ask.
No. Now, when we're doing executive coaching, I would say we always start with developing targets, right? Over the next 12 months, what are 3 areas that you want to hone in on? And we always back up those targets with metrics. So one of them could be effective delegation. I would say that that's over half of the coachees that we work with. They struggle to delegate, to say, I trust you with this task. Even though my name is on that signature line, I'm giving this to you because I trust you. There's a book, it's called Drive by Dan Pink, The Truth About What Motivates People. Fantastic book, more research-based, so it's a little drier. But he says there's really 3 things that motivate people. Mastery, we want to get better at something over time. Learning an instrument. Why do people learn an instrument? What, 0.2% of them are going to get paid for it someday?
Right.
The rest are just, I enjoy this. I enjoy getting better every single day. The second one is autonomy. We need to give people autonomy. Micromanaging, we all know that word is just terrible.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It just carries so many negative connotations, but the flip side of that is extending autonomy. Stephen Covey Jr. says we have less of a being trustworthy problem and more of a problem extending trust to people. Right? Which is, I fully believe that. You know, it's like, are we okay with saying, you got this?
Right.
Even though it's my responsibility at the end of the day, and if it goes south, that's on me as the leader. But if we never extend that trust, we never fully unleash the gifts in other people. You know, they're just going to try to please us all day and fit our mold of what we want for them.
Right.
Versus them living into who they were created to be.
Man. I mean, I can even see, like, between, you know, my dad and I, there's different qualities that he has that I don't, and qualities that I have that he doesn't, and you know, you know, I can kind of see that just between the two of us, you know, the differences. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people, like in our industry especially, the average age of an advisor, I think, is 60 plus. I mean, or even maybe even older. And so these advisors have been doing it for so long, and they have built these books of business that are their babies. And a lot of them struggle because one, you know, the money's good, but 2, I think they struggle that how can someone else do what I do, and how can they do it, you know, how can they do it just as good? They don't think they can even do it better. They're just like, they can't even do what I do. And I think there's this, you know, disconnect where it's hard to find that next advisor that can help take the business to the next level and kind of be the next leader.
Well,
so.
it's also done differently. So I've done it this way, and if you're doing it differently, then it's not going to be up to par, or it's not going to be the correct way, because it's just a difference of mindset. It's like, well, how can I trust that you're gonna, achieve this level of success or this level of service in a different way? Because I know this way works. I have no idea if that way works, so why even try it?
Yeah. Well, you think about like the industry is different. And, this is just in our industry as far as, our dad built a business cold calling. Can you imagine trying to cold call now, and, he would just go in the phone book. I mean, when's the last time someone looked at a phone book? I don't even think we get phone books anymore. It's like, but it's funny. We were having a conversation yesterday, and, it's our 10-year anniversary was last week as an independent firm. And so we're just kind of reminiscing, and I brought up our dad back in the day created VHS tape to hand out to clients and prospects to talk about markets and things like that. And he equated to being the original podcaster. So he says, I created the podcast. I mean, that was essentially the podcast back in the day. You just, instead of being live or, on social media, it was on VHS.
The vlog.
Right?
Vlogging for the first time.
So I think there are things that, probably still happen today that happened, back in the day, but things change. And I also think, me personally, I think a strong business leader is someone that can also change and adapt as well. Because, nothing stays the same. You think about AI today now and how that's changing so many things in industries and things like that. So
I always equate it to like technology companies, like on a simple scale. You look at like Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, how they all changed the look of their platform, the user experience, the user interface of it all. And they're adapting to a change in the market, how people want to see things, how they want to take in information. And I always found it funny, especially when Facebook was like the platform. Whenever it would change, people would always complain, oh, I hate this new look, or oh, this look is terrible. Why I can't find anything. And you look at the companies that failed, and it was the companies that never changed. They had something that worked, and they stuck by it because they were successful for a certain amount of time. I mean, look at Kodak. Kodak was this huge company, and they had an opportunity to change, but they saw success a certain way, and they didn't change, and then failed. So, I look at that, and I always bring it back to those couple of examples. Change, as uncomfortable as it might feel, can really make or break you. If you're not adapting with the times, or if you're, listening to the outside crowd about what they like or dislike, and you're not following change, you will fail.
Yeah. Do you often see leaders need to like come back and kind of retool or kind of refocus? Obviously you're spending a lot of time kind of developing these leaders, and they're developing themselves. I'm sure there's always room for improvement, right? I mean, you're always.
Yeah, we are I hate to say it, world, but we are a very selfish group of people.
Yeah.
Right? We're always going to, if we're left unchecked, if we're not having these conversations, if we're not holding each other to high standards of living and ethical behavior, we will deviate towards what Patrick Lencioni calls dysfunction, right? On a team, right? If we're not behaving as a team, we're not holding each other accountable, we're not committing, we're not having conflict, we're not trusting each other, we will deviate towards a team that just goes our own separate ways. And that happens in life too, in families. When we're not hashing out conflict, or we're not talking about ideas, but we sweep stuff under the carpet and hopefully it fizzles out, we will become selfish. We'll just focus on our own success. And so, yes, to your point, if we're left unchecked, if we're not having these conversations, if you're not meeting with people regularly and talking about meaningful things, then yeah, you won't be the leader anymore that you were. And so, yeah, we do get people coming back and say, let's start coaching again, because I need to be pulled out of the weeds, and I need to rebuild my perspective on how I see my teams, how I see myself, and how I see this business. So yeah, it's constant work, and that's why we call it the leadership journey.
Yeah.
None of us will be fully formed leaders before we die. It'll be a constant work in progress, similar to working on your finances, right? Or anything in life. We'll never arrive, but that's the beauty of it. We can keep working at it every day, but it's the people it's those who get so caught up in, I need to keep making progress, I need to keep learning, I need to just keep grinding, if they don't stop to celebrate that progress.
Keep moving the goalposts further and further out.
What a miserable life.
Well, yeah, how can you be fulfilled? Like, how you have to take a step back and enjoy the journey, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It doesn't mean that you stop. It doesn't mean you stop pushing forward, but I mean, it gives you time to reflect.
Yes.
and see what you've accomplished, and maybe even reset and then refocus to another goal.
Yeah.
Or, at least that's how I kind of envision it.
Yeah, I'll admit I'm terrible at that. I'd never do that. I'm always just
Next
achieve
thing.
the next thing and move on.
Yeah.
Check it off the box. I've never sat and thought about it at all.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It is going against the grain of who we are, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
You look at everyone on social media, everyone appears to be successful.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what are they doing? They must be working 80 hours a week, and I need to do that. It's like, no, you're seeing a snapshot of them.
Right.
You're seeing 10 seconds of their life and assuming that you know the rest. It's like, if I'm not doing that, I'm failing. I'm falling behind. And it's miserable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we need to stop. This reflection piece, this is something that we don't do a lot of. When we're talking about becoming this type of leader, one who is inwardly sound, others focused, not just knowing about it, not just putting a bunch of stuff on the wall and saying, this is the type of leader I am, but living it every single day. Part of that process is reflecting, right? And this comes from Tim Spiker's work. Again, I'll reference him a bunch of times, but we learn things, we apply things, and then if we do not reflect on them, it will not stick. And this is what separates knowledge from wisdom. When we reflect on something, we actually get wisdom because we can apply it to so many other facets of our life. It's like, I learned something, okay, I'm going to apply it in my business. But as soon as we reflect on it, we can see, oh, how does that also apply to my family? Or maybe on the soccer field, right? Wisdom becomes this all-encompassing thing that we can, it's just more encompassing, right? Holistic, I think would be the word, rather than just knowledge. But yes, I can't harp on it enough. Celebratory reflection is something we don't do a lot of. I mean, think about it. When you work out, if you were to work out 8 hours a day, every single day, are you actually getting stronger?
Every single day.
8 hours a day. Not much recovery.
Yeah,
No,
probably not.
no.
When do you build muscle? When you're working out or after?
After.
When you're resting, when you're recovering. It's the same thing, but we don't have that mindset with the mental aspect of our life. It's like, oh, my mind can take 16 hours a day of work without rest. No. We grow when we stop and pause and look back. John Dewey says we don't learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. Why did it work? Why did it work out this way? Or why did it fail? Like, I just had a conversation with someone. Why did it go south? If we don't stop to actually think about that, we won't know how to do it differently next time. And so it is very hard for me. It's the same thing, Anthony, right? It's something I strive to be intentional with, just to pause, to slow down my pace of life. This is so fast paced.
Oh yeah.
The world that we live in is insane.
It is. It's truly insane. And I think this, for us, well, maybe you're a little younger than I am, but it's so different from when I was a kid to kids today. I feel like they're almost, it's instilled in them like this fast-paced life where it's one thing after another. And if they aren't doing something, then it's like, they don't know what to do themselves. And, it's hard for them to, I think it's even harder for them to sit back and reflect or kind of just take an appreciation for where they are, what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, do kids even get bored anymore? Like, I remember, like, being bored just, like, staring at the ceiling as a kid. Like, you have nothing to do. But, like, now, like, you have your phone. You've got, like, games. You've got all these different things trying to grab your attention.
I think they get bored faster.
Yeah, no, they get bored faster today.
Well, I guess get bored faster, but, like, there's always something to go do.
Yeah.
So there's never really
It's almost like you're saying there's beauty in being bored, right? Like it's actually
When I
can
was
be a good
kid,
thing.
There would be nothing to do, so you had to go create something to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that
Now
point.
there's nothing to create. It's all just right there at your fingertips.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the beauty of kids doing some of the extracurriculars, whether it's sports or music or theater or something that takes them away from the electronics and things like that, or having friends and playing outside. And, there's so much that's tied to getting back to the 13 hours on their device that, I think that pulls them away from being able to reflect and enjoy some of those other things, just being with friends or family and kind of enjoying life in the moment and not through a visual screen. So, but yeah, for whatever reason, I think kids get bored quicker because they're not stimulated.
Right. It's instant
or they're
gratification.
overstimulated today.
Right.
And that
everything's instant gratification now. So you're constantly getting, movies at your fingertips, or, your friends liking something, or some kind of notification popping up about an alert or whatever's going on that you're interested in. So now, like before, like at least when we were kids, it was just so slow moving that there wasn't that constant just dinging.
Yeah.
I just listened to a 60 Minutes interview. Ben Sasse, if you guys know that name.
No.
He's a congressman.
Okay.
Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He's got like weeks to live.
Yeah.
But he's just sharing his life reflections and thoughts on America and where he sees us going. But I found it interesting. He talked about, and this is not really in regards to America, but like as a civilization, we are having less and less kids, right? Because kids are expensive and
time consuming, and
a lot of people see kids as like just an added inconvenience,
right?
Instead of like an opportunity to pass down and generationally. And so he mentioned that not just are we having less kids, but people are having, okay, maybe you shouldn't bring this up in the podcast, maybe we can cut it out, but people are having less sex. And I find that really interesting, but he relates it to cell phone usage.
Oh yeah.
They're getting their
It's a
dopamine
legit study
hits
from it.
and their instant gratification from this, that like having sex, it's not, it's an afterthought now instead of like a normal human desire, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, I was like, what? This is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's terrifying though at the same time. Like we are getting so inundated and stimulated by a piece of technology. That we're losing sight of like human connection and the beauty of
We're going to make ourselves go extinct.
Like physical touch.
technology.
I mean, like it's just,
I mean, you think of like, even if you're getting together with friends, or I don't know how your kids are, but they may sit on the couch like further away from each other because they all have their phones on them. They don't need to be like close to each other. Or, I'll be watching a movie with my wife and I'll be on one side of the couch sometimes and she'll be on the other. It's like that didn't used to happen.
Yeah.
But you have your phone on you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know if it's a shock. It's not, to me, it's not shocking. It's sad. You know, like that's the state that we're in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just unfortunate, and I don't know what needs to change, and you know, and I don't think it's something that you can change by the masses. It's more of looking internally and changing yourself and making sure that, you know, your kids and are learning the benefits of you know, interaction and not through a device, like personal interaction.
Yeah. I am seeing some things come out recently. I was talking to some friends about it. They've got phones that act as a hardwired line that you can keep like in your kitchen or something. So if your kids want to like talk to their friends, it's not hardwired, but it's like it's mobile, but it sits on your wall and it's got a cord attached to it. And they can call their friends, but they can't leave that area.
Love it.
So it's just another way of like keeping them there and not having them on their phone all the time. Yeah, it's interesting. I can't remember what it's called, but
the fact that even Apple is making safeguards for their own phones, right? Like screen time limits. That should be alarming to us.
Yeah.
That should be like red flag, red flag.
It's
right?
like the warnings on a cigarette box.
Have you guys ever heard of the smoky room experiment?
No.
It's a really old study, maybe in the 70s or 80s, but they took a group of like surveyors, right? They put them in a room, and there were actors, and then there's one person who's the variable, right? Who doesn't know what's going on. They just think they're filling out a survey.
Yep.
And they put her in this room with these other people, and they start seeing smoke pour into the room. This lady like said, "What is going on?" And the other people know not to react.
Right, they're
Right?
just ignoring it.
They've been told they just ignore it. When she's in the room by herself, okay, when people are in the room by themselves, something's going on, right? Someone come help.
Right.
But as soon as you add other people into the mix, they look around and they say, okay, no one else is reacting, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
There's literally danger right there.
Right.
I see it. It's pouring into the room. There's a fire on the other side of that door.
And I'm not
going to do anything because they're not. But it's the same thing with cell phone use. It's like, I'm going to wait for other people to really pull the trigger on this and to say, no, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut back. I'm going to get a flip phone.
Yeah.
Heck, like I'm done with this. I know it's dangerous for me. I know it's dangerous for our kids. But until we're willing to do it, nothing's going to change. You know, everyone's going to look. It's called diffusion of responsibility. We're just going to wait for someone else to be responsible, and then maybe we'll make a change in our life. But Andy Stanley says, do for one what you wish you could do for many. It's like just find one person and try to impact their life, right? Same thing with cell phone use. Like for our kids, it's easy to want to I wish there could be a law that came out that just banned cell phones, right? We could all wish that. But it starts with us and how we're, teaching our kids and friends and how we're interacting with them.
Yeah.
But one person at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can survive without their phones. I mean, my daughter does.
Are you sure?
My daughter does a camp every year, Camp Stella Maris.
Okay.
And there's a rule. There are no electronics at all for an entire week.
Love those camps.
And and you know what? She probably has more memories and like friendships that are like built there in that 1 week than any other time, because they're engaged into what's going on and the stories, and she could probably tell me more about what she did last year at camp than she did last week.
Wow.
Because those stories are like, she remembers them. And she doesn't have a phone that was distracting her. So, and she survives every time. Yeah. And they all do. So you hear about these people that do, I forget what it's called, but essentially take a break from electronics for a week or a day or whatever. And, how, insightful it is. So.
Yeah. One of the components that we teach, so in terms of being others focused, one of those components is attentiveness, which it sounds like a skill like listening, But when you're being attentive, like that's a state of being. That's who you are. You're a person who's attentive. Attentiveness conveys that I see you, I hear you, and what you have to say and you matter to me. How often when we're with someone do we convey that, right? When we're sitting down at dinner or at a restaurant, we put our phone on the table. It's like, actually, what we're conveying is that you're secondary to a ding that I get
Right.
on my phone.
Yeah.
That's what we convey. But this world of phones, it's like, how often are we multitasking? We don't know it. It's subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
But we're multitasking because at any moment, I'm going to be split away from being present with another human being.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd watch something on that. Ironically, it was on Instagram. But
there are some good things.
There are
some good things.
And I took it and I run with it. And it
Mm.
was this guy in an interview with another person. And he was like, how important do you feel right now?
Mm.
And he was like, really important or not important? And he's like, well, not important. He goes, what if I do this? How do you feel now? And it's like a little bit better. And I was like, what if I do this? He's like, yeah, I feel like you're paying attention. And he's like, put it in his pocket. And he's like, well, now how do you feel? He's like, oh, I feel like I have your full attention. And there's times where I'll be at dinner or out to drinks with friends. And, you know, I'll give myself some credit. I'll never have my phone like this. I usually flip it over.
Mm-hmm.
But now I just put it away.
Yeah.
I don't need it. Like, I'm with the people that I want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to enjoy the experience and enjoy what I'm doing. So I don't need that. There's nothing that needs to be alerted to me.
Yeah.
I mean, 90% of the time I stopped wearing my Apple Watch.
It's awesome.
Just because I'll get a ding and I'll look at it. I've even noticed there was a couple times during this podcast where I've looked at my watch and I'm like, God, you just gotta stop doing that.
Yeah. And there's let's be honest, there's no such thing as multitasking. You've probably heard this. It's just switching.
Yep.
Just switching.
Right.
Which focus requires time on task. And so if we're going to the next thing, it's like, okay, that focus is just gone now. You have to go back to re-engage and take the time to,
Right.
to focus in again. So I love that. That's good that you just awareness, right? I feel like that's what people are missing.
Right.
It's like first of all, I think it's just starting with this diffusion of responsibility. We're waiting for someone else to do it. But as soon as we become aware of it, like, okay, it's actually pretty dangerous, or it's actually conveying that to someone that you are secondary to my phone. Like, what is that doing to our influence? All of us are leaders in some capacity for our families, for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do we convey, like, as leaders to our clients and to the people that we serve when we're with them?
Mm-hmm.
As much as we can, I feel like, even if it's leaving our phone in the car. But I think we all just make excuses, make justifications that what if a family member calls?
What happens?
I'd feel terrible. But okay, like maybe 0.00001% of the time you'll get that call.
Right.
That's your justification. Let's use a little bit of math and logic.
Right.
And just say, screw it. I'm going to leave it in the car because chances of that happening is nothing.
Yeah.
But we just it's safe. It's comforting to know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it actually like telling the people who are around us?
Right.
Yeah. Now, I got a question, kind of getting back to Leaders Inspire. What type of people are you looking for? Are you reaching out to business leaders across the country? You have clientele everywhere. And, for anyone that is kind of interested in learning more, like what should they know ahead of time, or what should they kind of be prepared to kind of talk about?
Yeah. Your question. I'll go back to our mission, right? Our mission is to equip leaders to discover, develop, and deploy the greatness within people in their organizations. So whether that's emerging leaders or in the executive level, right, we want to help you. I keep saying it, but build perspective. That's what we all need, is just to pull ourselves out for just a brief moment, for an hour a month, and say, I love the quote, Abraham Lincoln. He says, "You give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. He understands the importance of preparing and strategizing and not just working as hard as I can, but working effectively, using my energy and my time wisely. And sometimes that takes a challenge from a perspective that it's way outside your business, and I'm glad that we get to provide that. So the clientele that we've commonly been working with is in the construction industry, specifically electrical contractors. And I love it because, and leadership is universal, right? We could work with anybody in terms of, building a healthy leader is a process that is pretty consistent with whatever industry you work in. But I particularly love that we work in construction because 50 years ago, the leadership style in construction,
Right.
check your feelings at the door,
Right.
get the effing job done or you can get out.
Right.
We had people to pull from. A lot of people were working in the trades. Today, you don't treat a human like a human. I'll go on LinkedIn. I'll find a job in 15 minutes and someone else will take me and I'll make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
The trades are hurting to find people. The leadership style needs to change. And I love that we get just to get to come in and provide a different perspective on what healthy leadership looks like. And there are times where it calls for rough and tough. We're not saying that this is a soft type of leadership. They're not soft skills that we teach. They're human skills at the end of the day. There's a book, I just finished it. It's called The Courage to Be Disliked. Highly recommend it. But they talk about this psychology. It's called Adlerian psychology. And the premise behind it is that all problems stem from interpersonal relationships. Like when you think of any problem, like comparing yourself to other people, a conflict you have with someone, like literally all the anxiety and stress that we feel, we can boil it down to a problem with us and someone else. I find that fascinating. And maybe you could poke holes in that. Maybe there's like a specific instance where it's like, that doesn't apply. This isn't an interpersonal relationship. But let's just say that it's true. If we can't connect and build trust with humans quickly, and you hear this term all the time, like psychological safety. If people aren't safe to speak up, to share their voice, their opinion, to share that they disagree, even if it's a leader that's above them positionally, are we going to get as much information as we need to make informed decisions as leaders?
Right.
If people are so terrified because we've exuded this form of leadership that is just, okay, unless you have 0 weaknesses and you make 0 mistakes, you can't come to me. I don't want to hear it from you.
Right.
So construction industry, I think it's just an awesome opportunity for leadership to be shifted, just the form and style of leadership. But yeah, that's the primary niche that we work in.
Yeah, I would never have guessed.
No.
I mean, that is definitely a unique industry that exactly how you described it. I mean,
Makes sense,
check your feelings at the door,
Makes sense.
But yeah, that's awesome.
And there's still people in leadership that subscribe to that, like the older leaders, 60s and 70s, who just never want to retire. They love the work. They still believe in that. And honestly, sometimes you need that form of leadership. There's a time and place for it, but that's why we want complementary skills to be involved on teams.
Right.
Someone who's like a yin and yang. Someone who can be the teddy bear, but then maybe there's a VP who's like rough and tough. Hey, we need to get this done. They're great at execution, the implementation stage. But then you need someone with the human element of, hey, let's go back to why we're here. What are you struggling with? How can I support you in your career?
Yeah.
To make you feel safe here.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I feel like on the opposite side of that, the person that's maybe rejecting that side doesn't want to be, I guess I'll call it, walked on or taken advantage of. So they feel like they need to have that hard set. Like, no, this is how we do things. I don't want to hear about your problems. We're going to get this done.
Definitely.
Because, there are people out there that would probably take advantage of someone on the softer side. Who's like, oh, yeah, go ahead, take the time that you need to do what you need to do.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to digest there. I'm just kind of thinking back from the start and, the first thing, I don't even think we got on on camera is that, would you rather be, fulfilled or happy? And just kind of thinking that, and, being a good leader and everything else. I mean, I think there's so much that goes into all of it, and it's not easy, and you definitely, like you said, you're always learning. It's a journey, and you're never going to be fully there. But it's making sure you take the time to kind of focus on that and enjoy life, smell the roses type thing.
I will say this to that point. You often hear that leadership is lonely, right? It's a lonely journey at the top because I have to make the hard decisions. A lot of times people don't like me because of those decisions that I have to make. But we would say that it doesn't have to be that way. Community is such a huge aspect of leadership. That's why I love these peer groups, that they get to invest in each other's businesses in this way, because you can't really count on your frontline people or even middle management to check in with you. Like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I was just talking to one of my mentors yesterday. He brought up the 97% rule and how 97% of people will not ask you how you're doing. All right, 3%, they actually genuinely want to know. They'll check in with you. But I want to make sure that I'm one of the 3% who's like, do I care? Am I just someone who makes withdrawals from people's lives, or am I making deposits as well?
Right.
What investments am I making? And it's funny, to that point, earlier yesterday morning, I was listening to a radio station. They talked about how in a friendship, it's so easy to just say, I want good friends. I want friends who will laugh with me, cry with me, but they won't do that for other people. Right. They're just waiting for someone to do that for them without the first step of who are you doing that for yourself? And I think a lot of us kind of sometimes reside there into waiting land, and it's like waiting for other people to pull the trigger on an action. But sometimes it's just a first step, a decision that I can make tomorrow morning. Say, who am I going to invest in today?
Right.
Yeah.
Who can I send a text to, and just say, how are you doing?
I had, that reminded me, I saw this quote. I'm part of like a family business group, and we've got a group chat on Instagram, and I had found this quote that I thought was like perfect, and it's very similar to what you were just talking about. And I'm going to butcher the entire thing, but the premise is, I helped someone get to the mountaintop and realized that I myself got there as well. So you helping someone get to that peak or whatever summit they're trying to get to, and at the same time, you're also getting there.
Yeah.
So it's not so much like comparing yourself to somebody else or like saying, you have to be alone at the top. You can help others get to their peak, and you're also helping yourself get there.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like foregoing success and saying, oh, I just have to. And that's false humility. It's saying, I suck at everything. It's like, let's just defer to other people, always what they want. That's not what leadership is. It's having an accurate understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. It's saying, hey, I need people to compliment me in these areas because I suck at these. Like, I am not a good public speaker. I should not be giving company addresses, right? I need someone for that.
Yeah.
But to all be complimenting each other and get to the top, that's what leadership is. I love when people try to they flip the pyramid, like the hierarchy. It's like leadership should be pushing everyone else up to the top. And that is the cost of leadership. That's the sacrifice that we sign up for as leaders. But kind of going back to the point of, it can be lonely and it can be a sacrifice, but if we don't take time to celebrate the milestones and victories and the achievements of others, it's a crappy road. It's like no one wants to do it. So I would say like the motive of leadership matters. If you are in leadership to get rewards, right, and the corner office and to get the title of executive, that's not a healthy motive for leadership. But if you have responsibility-based leadership of, well, I'm doing this for what I can give, not what I can get, you will find fulfillment.
Yeah.
And going back to your original point, like happiness or fulfillment, I want to be fulfilled in all areas of my life. You know, and that usually means at the end of my days, I can say that I helped and served a lot of people. No one cares about their own. Seriously, like when you get to your deathbed, are you really going to care how many trophies you won as a soccer player?
Right. Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be what you did with and for other people in your life that you will say, that is my legacy.
Yeah.
But we don't think like that today.
Yeah.
We think of, what am I going to do tomorrow? How much money do I need in my bank account? You know, like all those are important things, but bare minimum, we don't have a future perspective. You know, I love Stephen Covey. He says, begin with the end in mind. And I find it fascinating that in order to be present today, you actually need to go to the future. Like at 80 years old on my deathbed, what is going to be the most important thing for me to focus on now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you need to be futuristic
Right.
in order to be
Yeah.
present
Think about that.
to like
Yeah.
have those priorities
I mean,
situated.
I think about that with my kids. Like,
Yeah.
think about how I grew up and then how I turned out now. You know, I've got this very unique opportunity to instill lessons into my kids to help them grow as a person. So I look at it as like, well, how do I envision them being in the future?
Yeah.
How could I, like, you know, instill some little bits of wisdom or however it might be now that can help shape them into a person that I would love for them to be.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that point.
Yeah. Just hard because honestly, like, too, we're all so different. Like your kids are wired so differently.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we can do the best that we can, you know, in instilling these nuggets and values and principles. And, you know, sometimes it'll stick and other times it won't. And we can put a lot of that weight on our shoulders, but everyone is just so different that I know I'm going to throw this quote out there. I'm throwing a lot of quotes. Leadership is an attempt to make the people in the world around you better than you found them. And so as it relates to our kids, it's like, I have to make the attempt to make their life better.
Yeah.
I can't put like all our kids are going to turn out so differently, you know, but did we make a valiant, respectable, honorable attempt to instill these things that we have found to be so helpful for our lives?
Yeah.
You know, and we have to live with that and we have to be content with that. So I think that's important for all of us to kind of keep in mind, especially as fathers. You know, make the attempt to serve our kids and support them the best we can.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Yeah. We just went all the way around being a business leader and
it all ties back into each other.
now being a leader as a
You know,
parent, a father,
a leader
mother,
with your employees, trying to teach them lessons that maybe you learned when you were in their position, starting off a career or whatever point that they're at and saying, you know, this was a huge effect on me when I was in this position, and just kind of sharing that wisdom.
Yeah.
Similar.
Definitely. It impacts everything, which is why I like it. You know, I love leadership because, again, not just a better way to lead your organization, the four walls here, but all the principles and wisdom you take back to your family and you say, how does this apply here as well? And to your friendships and, you know, being attentive as a leader. If it doesn't permeate to your family and friends, then it's probably just a skill that you're implementing to get what you want out of your employees. Yeah. But as soon as it goes back to your home, that's when you know it's who you're becoming, not just a skill you're applying in certain situations.
Yeah. I had a manager at one of my old jobs. He said the biggest compliment that he can give someone is telling them that he would work for them. And that always kind of stuck with me, having that idea of like, well, who do you want to be that other people would want to work for?
I like that.
Yeah.
What makes someone worth following?
Right.
You know? Like, I want to follow someone who, when I spend time with them, they actually care about what I have to say. They actually care about how I'm doing, right? When someone asks you how you're doing, you can tell if they want to know the answer.
Right. Or if they're just waiting for their time to chime in.
Yeah. Like, we wear our heart on our sleeves. We can see character bleed through. And that's why we say that 77% of your effectiveness as a leader comes from who you are. It's not that the skills of leadership don't matter, but they don't have any foundation. Let's just take an example. Effective communication is a skill. That's not who you are. That's not your character. But if you're not inwardly sound and others focused and you try to communicate with someone, Are you using paraphrasing, active listening?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your phone's away, right? And you're making good eye contact. If I'm not others focused, can you see that through me? Even if I'm communicating really well and being articulate, can you tell that I don't care about you, like over time in our conversation? Can you tell that I care more about what I have to say?
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing in our business. When we're meeting with a client, if you're not having any kind of active listening or paying attention to what the client is saying, they could be, giving their life story essentially. And if you're not picking up some kind of small details, explaining kind of how they feel about investing or how they feel about their family situation or their retirement situation, you're not doing your job as an advisor at that point, because you're missing all of these, you can call them soft skills, all these psychological answers to their retirement makeup or their investment makeup. It applies in so many scenarios, but there's a lot of, I don't think it's a skill that's easily come by. I think there's a lot of people in our industry that miss a huge part of that job. They may be very much analytical and, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, these are the numbers. Sorry to break it to you, but you have to work another 5 years, instead of listening to kind of what their pain points are.
Yeah.
Understand holistically what's going on.
That takes a lot of emotional maturity.
Oh, yeah.
For you as advisors to really pick up on, and that's what EQ is, right? It's social. So there's self-awareness and then there's social awareness. It's like, can I pick up on the mood, the vibes of the other person across from me? Like, I hear what they're saying, but what are they communicating, not with their words, but with their eyes, right? Their body language.
Right. Are their arms crossed?
Yeah.
Are they squeezing their hands?
Yeah.
Like, are their knuckles white?
Yeah.
Are they, piercing their lips? Are they giving a look to their spouse like, don't say that, or I don't agree with that? There's so many different things: the tone of their voice, the inflection in it, the intensity of how they explain one thing versus another.
You guys could not pick up on that, and they don't call you back for like months, or they leave the conversation and like you guys are feeling all good about it.
Right.
Like, what the heck happened? You ever had that happen before? It's like it seemed like a great meeting, and then crickets.
Yeah.
I had that all the time with Northwestern. Like, we were both excited, but what did I miss?
Right.
Was I just excited? And
right,
exactly.
Right, yeah. And sometimes, well, getting back, I was going to say something earlier. It's, getting back to when someone asks, how are you? Or, you're having that conversation. You also need to be truthful. And sometimes it's hard to say, or it's easy to say, I'm good, things are good. But like when you really think about it and you answer truthfully, and which is hard sometimes, you can get so much more out of it. So whether it's talking to a colleague or talking to, a family member or a friend or a client, or even being as a prospect and having that, telling an advisor how you truly feel about something, the advisor is going to tell you, based on what you're telling them, the vibe that you're giving them.
Yeah.
So as a prospect, you really need to, and we try to instill that with people that we're meeting. Listen, I'm here to kind of guide you. I'm here to kind of lead you to where your goals want to be. So you have to tell me exactly what you're looking for, if in your comfort level with different risk and things like that, because I can tell you different things based on, what you're looking for. And if you tell me, oh yeah, I love risk, and you really don't, and this is what I'm going to suggest to you, then you're going to be like, oh, that's not for me. And so, well, you led in that direction. So it's really being truthful when, saying one thing with friends, how easy is it to say, I'm good. Yeah. Hey, how are things? Good. Or, the other one is what, and who's going to listen? Like, I don't know, if you have that feeling, then, why even have that conversation? So
I have made it a practice to pause before I answer that. Someone asks me, how are you doing? And I'll pause for like 10 seconds. Like, I really want to think about it. And they'll be like, are you okay? Like, they'll think it's so weird to do that. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't just give you an automatic, like, reflexive response. I actually want to think about how I'm doing. And I want to share that with you. But it's so funny how weird people think it is.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
it is.
Because it's so audible.
It's so automatic.
Oh, yeah.
Things are good.
And I've tried to make it, more of a habit to really not pull it out of people, but really try to make sure open up, like how are you? Like,
Mhm.
Well, a
what's
follow-up
really going
question.
on?
Well,
Yeah.
Just to follow, like you could say, how are you doing? They say good. And it's like, how's your family? Or
Yeah.
how's work going? It's just another question. It's
Yeah.
not just about how you're doing, but
Yeah.
what's the next question?
Sometimes it's also opening up. Sometimes it's you
Giving
need
them
someone else
permission to do
opening.
it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you open up to someone, I feel like they're
Mhm.
more,
Yeah.
willing to open up as well. So.
I just had this happen this week with a client of mine that I was meeting with, going over estate planning. They had a set plan of how they wanted to do things. And I was like, well, how do you feel about if X, Y, and Z happens? Like, oh, I'm fine with it. I'm like, okay, well, these are the 3 scenarios that are going to happen if X, Y, and Z happens. How do you feel about each one of these scenarios? And they're like, oh, I don't feel good about this at all. And it's just having that follow-up question of like, let's dive a little bit deeper. Yes,
Yeah.
you're good with this, but 2 or 3 more levels, are you actually good with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I probably a month ago now, I had a conversation with a woman who was in preparation for one of these peer group sessions, and we just had a pre-call just to learn more about their business and give them an explanation of what they can do to prepare for that session. And I could just tell that something was wrong. You know,
Mhm.
I could tell from her face. And I asked how you're doing, and I was like, I went deeper. I'm like, how are you actually doing?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
She was very taken back.
Right.
And she even got to the point of never say that to a woman or to a female.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Which was interesting to me. I'm like, genuine concern. I could tell that something was wrong,
Right.
but I didn't have a level of trust with her that she was willing to do that. But that's just
Right.
my personality. Like, if I see something, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was just interesting.
Right.
You know, she's like, she related it to, okay, you're telling by the look on my face if I'm, how am I actually doing? She
Right.
took that as an offense.
That's
You know,
interesting.
so it's like, okay, I learned from that.
Yeah.
But it's just situational,
Yeah.
social awareness of when to do it, when to go deeper with someone.
Right.
you
And
know.
some people are comfortable with it and some people
Mhm.
aren't, and but I found if I'm willing to kind of open up a little bit more, typically
Yeah.
the other person is
Yep.
is
Go
doing-
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Nice.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate. I mean, I feel like we could probably talk about this all day and leadership, and I don't even know how much we really got into leadership and what it takes, but I think there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that working with someone that can kind of take either the current leader of the company and kind of make them a better person, or improve some of the skills that they may be lacking in, or like you said, the kind of the leaders in training and the next people that to kind of come up if a company has that person.
Mhm.
I think it's huge because if you don't have that strong leader and someone that can kind of take that company to the next level, it can
Yeah.
you're just kind of chugging along and barely staying afloat. So
It's lonely at the top when we don't invest in the next generation.
yeah.
All right. Which is, we know that's dangerous to just, okay, it's just all on me. If I pass, then good luck,
It's done.
Right.
and that's when it's lonely. But if you're meeting with people, if you're coaching and you're mentoring the next generation, that's not lonely anymore. It's, I think all of us would agree that it would be fun to pass on our stories and our experiences to the younger generation, right? With our kids,
Mm-hmm.
getting them to teach these values,
Yeah.
and like, it's meaningful to us because we know how much it's done for us. And I think if leaders can get that, to know that it's not giving away power, it's just unleashing like the great potential in other human beings. Like, if the whole world thought that way of how can I go help someone discover who they were created to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day, what questions can I ask? And as leaders, if we approach every day with that mindset, I think it'd be pretty cool. What could happen to a lot of businesses. But
yeah. That's awesome. All right. What was it?
it's an investment
Yeah, there you go.
in your retirement.
Yeah. It's an investment in yourself.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you do have any questions for Jesse, feel free to reach out to him. Or if you'd like to learn more about Leaders Inspire, I'm sure he'd love to share his story and what he can do to help you and your business. If you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out. Feel free to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and like this topic. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Not bad.
I gotta pee. I was like, I know it's not live, so I probably could. I'm like,
yeah,
let's just
for
power
sure.
through.
Dude, that's the worst.